silence over the investigations into the tragedy. 9 victims of the Hillside Endarasha Academy dormitory fire were buried yesterday. 2 boys are still admitted to hospital, and Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua led the families and mourners in an emotional service at Muiga Stadium in Kieni constituency. And on the front page of The Nation, we have the 21 pupils who lost their lives. And it is a sad, sad story because a majority, they're actually aged between 11 and 14 years. And we have those faces of the pupils who lost their lives there. It was a very emotional day. And uneasy, it's covered on the back page, uneasy silence over tragedy as 21 Hillside boys are buried. Nyeri Governor Mutahi Kahiga praises Hillside Endarasha Academy Director David Kenywa and pleads with the government to help him rebuild the school. Omboko Milema, the KUPPET chairman, said it's like the Ministry of Education wants the country to forget that 21 children died. Somebody must be called to account. How long shall we talk about a safety manual that is not being observed? No speakers demand justice, with politicians heaping praises on the management instead. And that is the irony, that we have lost 21 children. But the only thing that we are looking at is how do we rebuild a school. But we have lost children. That's a story you can read. It's a very emotional story on the back page of the Daily Nation.
And on page 2 of the Standard, the same has been covered, and it's so sad even seeing the pictures and, you know, just the imagination of the futures that have been jeopardized by this thing that has happened. I mean, why are we still talking about compliance and requirements of the safety of schools? This should have been a discussion and a conversation done with a long time ago. We didn't have to lose 21 children for us to realize that there needs to be compliance and that the requirements of safety need to be adhered to. But unfortunately, this has happened. And I see here, Gachagua called on political leaders to treat the people of Mount Kenya region with kindness, insisting that the people forgive but never forget. Still on the Mount Kenya politics, even as this is going on. And that's a story covered on page 2. And it's important to also note that the school is still yet to reopen.
Right. Now the headline, they go with the UAE link in Ruto Adani 485 billion shillings deals. Since President William Ruto and his Kenya Kwanza administration took office 2 years ago, Kenya and the UAE have been forging even closer business ties, with new revelations of the Emirati royal family's links to Indian conglomerate Adani Group, which has been awarded multi-billion shilling contracts. It's on page 7, and they say that Abu Dhabi's international holding company is the common denominator in 3 contracts, and Kenya, UAE forging closer business ties since Kenya Kwanza took reins of power. You can read that story on page 7. I also see Kalonzo defends Gachagua amid Ulster onslaught. It's on page 4 and 5. Rival factions are wrangling over the numbers in the planned impeachment of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. By last evening, the pro-impeachment group claimed over 300 members of the National Assembly had backed the introduction of the motion. This as Azimio leader Kalonzo Musyoka vowed that they will stand with the embattled Deputy President. You can read that on page 4 and 5. And still on the same, DCI and DPP enjoined in Nairobi Hospital court battle. You can read that on page 7 as well. And fraud, 720 million jobs scam firm has its license revoked. The National Employment Authority has revoked the license of Nairobi-based Vintmark Travel Agency Limited following accusations it conned desperate job seekers 720 million shillings. So what does that mean now to them who had already paid for the same? So more questions as license of firm in 720 million jobs fraud is revoked. Victims say they paid about 150,000 shillings each for foreign jobs that never materialized. So you can read that on page 2. And then I see fraudsters targeting German jobs deal. Officials charged with creating awareness on the German-Kenya labor deal say fraudsters are targeting job seekers using the arrangement. It's on page 2 as well. Lecturers, this is some good news. Lecturers, other public varsity staff and strike. Lecturers and other staff in public universities have signed a return to work agreement with the government, effectively ending their 1-week strike that had paralyzed learning and other operations in the said institutions. And the Labour Ministry had formed a team to look into ways to end the strike, industrial action and paralyzed learning in public universities across the country. 10% basic salary increment that some of the workers will be receiving. Others will be getting a raise of 7%. So that is as part of the return to work agreement that was signed between the university workers and the Labour Ministry.
All right. And on the same, I think it's just yesterday when they talked about their retiring age being about 75 years. But on that, they did get to an agreement, but not 75, basically. But now for senior lecturers, I'm seeing here, the workers also managed to agree with the government on the contentious retirement age for workers, which means that graduate assistants, tutorial fellows, and assistant lecturers will exit service at 70 years. Then the senior lecturers, associate professors, and professors will retire at 74 years. So let's just say they met at the middle and actually, striked now that agreement. And I see we have been striking and now we have struck a deal. Once we execute the deal, the strike will be over. And I see here that a return to work formula seen by the Standard shows that the unions will also benefit from negotiated harmonization of various allowances. Back to class. That's it.
Right. I also see on page 10, Kitengela 3 were whipped, subjected to waterboarding. Inspector General of Police and DCI Chief insist the kidnappers were not police officers. All right. The kidnappers, torturers had handcuffs and walkie-talkies, victims say. So 3 men abducted in Kitengela and held in captivity for 32 days by unknown gunmen endured torture, including waterboarding and being whipped with electric cables. You can read that on page 10. I also see here protests. Nairobi, Nyeri, top list of missing people. Nairobi, Nyeri, and Kirinyaga are the counties with the highest number of people reported missing following the nationwide anti-government protests. Documents tabled before a parliamentary committee show the files presented to the National Assembly Committee on Administration and Internal Security by internal CS Kithure Kindiki indicate that missing people in Nairobi are 39, Nyeri 29, and Kirinyaga 16. Missing Nyandarua County residents are 13. So he said, while these are the numbers reported to police, it is important to note that they are subject to change, mostly due to situations of missing person resurfacing. So you can read that on page 10. Inside the Daily Nation as well. We go to the pullout, the DN2 pullout. Today it is The Voice and Katiba at 14. Shame of a country at odds with its women. Barriers. A girl born when Kenya promulgated the constitution in 2010 has crossed into the turbulent teenage period and her future in Kenya is bleak. That's the report you can read on page 4 and 5. Resilient mothers in Homa Bay balancing life, work and the classroom. And good read how Kamala Harris reformed the California justice system. That is on the DN2 pullout today. On the county news, Governor pleads with MCAs to drop Oster bid. County boss admits he may have made mistakes and urges reconciliation. Kericho County boss pleads with rep saying he still has young children, so don't impeach me. I still have young children. Kericho Governor Eric Motai has made an emotional plea to MCAs not to impeach him in an address at a funeral.
Because he has children.
He has children. Anasema, may have made mistakes.
Oh, but
Nihurumie.
have mercy.
Have mercy.
Okay.
Niko na watoto. And in the international news, Russia nuclear policy change a signal to West, a decision on whether or not to publish the doctrine to be made later. And then I see South Sudan urged to implement tasks in extended transition. Business section, Western Kenya factories top in sugar quality test. Millers shine as the government seeks to revive quality-based payments for farmers. Sucrose content would be used to calculate returns, and Co-op Bank to get extra 18 billion shillings IFC credit for lending to small farms. Allow us to go to the sports pages, and I see Kenya to co-host CHAN with Uganda, Tanzania next year. That is, Kenya will be co-hosting the delayed 2024 African Nations Championships with Uganda and Tanzania in February next year. The CAF body has said in a statement, CAF said the host stadiums and training venues for the 2024 CHAN will be confirmed in due course. The first round of qualifiers of the tournament will be played on the weekend of October 25th to 27th and November 1st to 13th. So you can read that on this page 29. And then I see new legal battles threaten to muddy the pool again, and little known Esikon faces marathon of her dreams. That is on the sports pages.
All right. And coming down to the Standard, the very first story here is DP's allies faced arrest as coup claim emerges. I see 5 allies of the embattled ZP Gachagua are staring at a date with justice after investigators linked them to allegedly planning, mobilizing and financing Gen Z protests, even as Interior CS claims plotters took advantage of demos in a bid to overthrow the president. And coming down to page 4 and also 5, we see more on the same. Page 5 is saying Gen Z protests were designed to overthrow Ruto. This is what Kindiki has told MPs. The CS defended the use of force on protesters who breached parliament. He said 42 people lost their lives during the anti-government protest. And Wilberforce Oundo, Funyula MP here, saying the 132 people that have disappeared, where are they? I think this is information that the government should provide and can provide actually, but it has not. Still a lot of questions on the same. And coming to page 4, we see here that we have 50 lives definitely paying up time. Gen Z protesters killed and hundreds abducted during the June demonstrations that 3 members of DP Gachagua staff and 2 MPs allied to him are accused of funding and also mobilizing. And still on the same, I see here that the police said investigations into the said allegations was instituted and various investigative steps undertaken. And the 2 MPs were summoned on July 31st and their statements recorded but declined to hand over their mobile phones for forensic examinations. So still, this is now coming up once again. And all eyes are looking at the allies of the DP.
The DP.
This is a story on pages 4 and also 5. Anyway, we continue to follow up on the same. And still on the top page, I see back to class that we have covered already. Dawn's 2.4 billion pay rise deal. And still on the top page, new bid to increase presidential term, which I find to be very interesting. There is someone here who has presented a bill. Anyway, we are losing focus.
Hizi ni za town. Zile games.
Oh my goodness. We are just diverting.
Yeah,
we are diverting. We are diverting. Because now inside Cherargei bill that seeks to increase presidential term limit, this is now from 5 years to 7 years. And I see here that the bill also seeks to extend the terms of other elected leaders, including governors, MPs, senators, and MCAs to 7 years. But even with this, my question is, what difference will it make?
Exactly.
If at all in the 5 years that they're given, we only see a handful of things done, and people are still complaining, only for us to get to close maybe like 2 years to the elections, and all of a sudden the shift is now towards campaigning and pushing for those votes as early.
We are into the second year of the new government and the new term of
Yes.
the leaders, but already we are now looking at 2027. Are we even
Politics
serious?
already.
Politics already, aligning themselves for the 2027, seeking positions. Which one will I vie? Is it MP, governor, president? Which one? Into the second year
Oh
of their
my
5-year
goodness.
term. So it won't help.
And this Nandi said
Hata tukienda 7 watasema tupewe a 10-year term. Yeah.
it's true.
Yeah.
We will keep doing it, and yet no change. Is it? My question is this to the interest of the Mwananchi?
That's the good question.
Or to the interest of them who are in
That's
government?
the good question.
Who is
Who is
serving?
benefiting?
Who is benefiting
Yes.
from this? Is
Yeah.
it the people?
No.
Because sometimes when you have a shorter time,
Yeah, you
it
put
should
on
even-
the effort.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
and
now
the sacrifice, and you reduce on the rhetoric and
Exactly.
everything, and you focus on your term.
Yes.
Yeah, so as a leader, you minimize as much as you can any talk of politics and everything. You marshal your troops towards, you know what?
Yeah.
Elections are over. Everything is over. Now we are focusing on delivering on our mandate, on
Yeah.
our manifesto, and then hit the road running to ensure that
Absolutely.
you are delivering on the promises.
Oh
yeah.
my goodness. I hope when they push this, they will ask for public participation.
No, let them not. They should not.
Oh my goodness.
Let them bulldoze.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because even if they ask,
Yeah, yes.
it will not,
Yeah, even if they pass.
even if they pass.
Yes, we, the people shall. That's the Constitution preamble.
Yes,
Yeah, the
that's
chapter, the
true.
first chapter, it's about the people.
The people.
Yeah.
That's the top priority. But anyway, and this is a bill proposing to amend Article 229 of the Constitution to provide for submission of the annual estimates of expenditure for the Office of the Auditor General directly by the Auditor General to Parliament for approval, said Cherargei. So we continue to follow up on this. It's very interesting, even coming up at such a time as this. I mean, we have people who are lost, hundreds of
Yeah,
people
yeah.
who we don't know where they are, and the government knows because it's supposed to know and can provide, but now we are still asking questions, and now we are talking of increasing the terms. I mean, it really makes no sense. But anyway, we'll continue to follow up on that. And I see page 6 here, experts warn shift deductions do not tally with expected benefits. So this is interesting. Government officials, however, say the objective is to pool resources so that everyone benefits. A new scheme will be rolled out next week with benefits varying from the NHIF scheme. And of course, if at all you're earning 10,275 shillings will be deducted. 50,000, 1,375 will be deducted. If you're earning 1,027,500 shillings will be deducted for the shift. And moving on, let me go now to the pullout that we have today. That is in the Standard. And let me just get there. Before we even get to the polar, let me just have a look at this international news. I see anti-Trump Republican swims against the tide in tight Senate race. Larry Hogan says he represents independent leadership in Republican Party, and he is seeking Senate seat in Maryland in a tight contest. And the pullout today on the business, I see race to pick second CBK deputy intensifies as 6 are shortlisted. So the list of shortlisted candidates showcase diverse professionals with a strong mix of gender and regional representation. That's a story on page 19. That's on the business pullout. And coming to the sports, Ten Hag slams his Manchester United. Manchester United flopped after a Twente draw. I see Man United held to 1-1 draw at home by Dutch side FC Twente in Europa League action. Ten Hag refuses to blame Eriksen for Twente goal and said all players must take the blame. Still on the sports, independency of FKF electoral board questioned. Football stakeholders want the board to move out of Kandanda House. I also see Sports CS promises to incorporate IEBC in conducting the delayed football elections. And that's it for the Standard.
All right, quickly we check the Business Daily. Kenya eyes UAE-backed 193 billion debt as IMF delays. Also see CBK insiders, bankers vie for second deputy governor position. And delays in repairing leaking fuel pipe disrupt flights at JKIA. And they were delayed yesterday morning. Spam emails cost Kenyan banks in privacy breaches. The Office of the Data Protection Commissioner has yet again sided with a Kenyan whose complaints for receiving emails in error from a commercial bank were ignored. And also you can read commercial banks expect a larger cut in the benchmark lending rate when the CBK holds its policy meeting early next month amid a quest for lower borrowing costs. That is on the Business Daily, and you can grab your favorite copy, get to see what's being reported from the grassroots to the county level to the national level, and let's continue to pray for our nation.
Absolutely. And right about now, it's time to pave way for the video of the day. So we're going to have a look at it and then come back and chat about it. See you shortly. Unaona kifua